Alrighty then, it looks like we are live. Greetings everyone, we've got 8 viewers right now, and I see the chat is going already. Are you ready to get started, Heather? Alright, I love that enthusiasm. Let's do this. So, welcome everybody to yet another Brony Debates. Sorry we had to take a couple of weeks hiatus there to do BronyCon, and then I had a lot of work to do. Yep, so we've got a whole lot of that going on. Caught a little bit of an echo of myself there for a little bit. That's not a big deal. So today, as suggested by Deverer, who could not be here, but who's been on the show before, we're talking about underrated or misunderstood episodes and what we believe is the most underrated and or misunderstood episode in the show thus far. I know we're about halfway through the last season here, so maybe a future episode will surprise us. Anyway, everybody say hi to Concert Cruizer, who's joining us for the first time on Brony Debates Live. How are you doing today, Cruiser? That's not a horse, it's a pony. And directly to his right in that picture there is Aria Diamond joining us for the first time as well. How are you doing, Aria? Yeah, I think that's going to be the epidemic that's going around here today. And then moderating the chat, keeping track of your comments, questions, and concerns, as always, is the lovely Princess Heather Blossom. How are you doing, Heather? Oh, how dare you not give me your full attention. I underestimate your ability to speak coherently at the moment, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get going. All right. So before I piss off my girlfriend anymore, oh wait, let me see here. It looks like oh, for goodness sakes. Let me see. Yeah, it should be, and my settings never changed. So alright, so pardon me for a moment, everybody. I'm gonna put the stream offline and try to fix this, and then come back.
Okay. You using OBS or?
Yeah. All right, let me take a look here.
Dang it! I just read the chat. We're taking a short recess.
And I said technical, then I'm like, rectal technical. Red nails is hard.
All right. Let's see here. I've just hit the start streaming button again. Let's see.
Rusty Home says they can't hear us. Did you start streaming again?
Yeah, I thought I did anyway.
You can hear us, Rusty?
He says, there we go, now I can hear people. Rusty, respond if you can hear me right now. Waiting for it. I'm sure he has wet nails too.
Aria, sing me This Day Is Going to Be Perfect.
Okay, Mike's Geek World says audio seems to be working now.
Alrighty then. Okay.
Why is everyone trying to do my job?
Well, yeah, let's alright, now that we're back on track, I am so sorry about that, my friends. Okay, so, as I said before, we're talking about underrated and misunderstood episodes today. Joining me is Concert Cruizer. How are you doing today?
Good morning, bronies.
Yeah, there we go. And Aria Diamond, how are you doing today?
I am just fine.
Good. It's always nice to have guests on for the first time here. And Heather Blossom, how are you doing today?
Doing as good as I can be. Don't you ever start talking about me not being able to talk, though. Otherwise, we're not going to have a good time.
Yep. Yeah, I understand. Look, I'm a roaster by nature. if you stutter, I'm going to latch onto that, which is a heck of a hypocritical thing for me to say because I have a tendency to stutter quite a bit
I
myself.
like roasting too, but I like roasting chicken, and you're looking particularly foul right now.
Oh, man. Oh, I walked right into that, my friends.
Heather, no wonder you're dating him.
Ooh, that one hurt. Someone get the salve.
She likes someone who can ruffle the feathers.
Oh, shut up.
Nice.
That Brony no longer has.
I meant maybe Brony gave his wings to Princess Heather Blossom.
Listen, Cruiser, I'm not dating you. You will suffer consequences.
I mean, Brony, I do have a picture of you and Cruiser hugging that I posted on Twitter.
Aw, that's so sweet.
I ship it.
I really wish you wouldn't, though.
Ronnie likes him thick.
You know, I came here to have fun, and I'm feeling so attacked right now. I guess that's what I get, though. I freaking started
Are you sure it's Brony did baits and not Brawny roast baits?
Brony likes back.
Okay, whatever. Back on track here, folks. That's enough of that nonsense. Anyway, Cruiser, what episode do you believe is the most underrated or misunderstood?
The one episode that I personally think is actually misunderstood is Sweet and Smoky.
Okay, that was a recent one. Tell us about that.
Well, the one thing that people seem to keep having issues with is that they don't believe that Garble does have a sensitive side. And I actually do kind of buy that because that's actually what ended up happening to me in middle school. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a music nerd, and when I was a lot younger, I was actually a big fan of the pop group Hanson. And I was basically walking around with a bullseye on my back. Everybody teased and made fun of me. And it wasn't until I started acting like one of them, I guess you could say, that they just backed off. Now, we weren't exactly besties or anything. I didn't hang out with these people, but they did lay off. So there is quite an element of truth to this. That, you know, if they see this side of you that they think is frankly bad or something that they don't approve of, then yeah, you will be made fun of.
Alrighty then, so that alright, that's pretty interesting. We'll come back to that. Aria, what's your episode?
My episode, it's actually interesting. It's the season 7 finale.
Shadow Play.
Shadow Play.
All right, and what's the misunderstanding? What do people say about this episode that you believe is wrong?
What I believe is wrong is, like, they say it's very mixed up and it was very weirdly written. Like, you know, it didn't connect well enough. And I'm just gonna put this out here now. I'm not that well at debating, so I'm gonna try.
Well, don't admit defeat that easily. Come on, let's see what you got.
Yeah, I know. Well, with Shadow Play, for myself, I feel like it put a lot in front of everyone, especially with Stygian as a character. Stygian kind of reminded me a tiny bit of myself. Like with, he's trying to help everyone, but nobody notices. He's just that back person. Or back pony. And they don't get a lot of credit, or as much credit as they need. And sometimes not being noticed or feeling underappreciated can lead someone to do things that they regret.
Okay, I don't have any.
That's a pretty good way of putting it, yeah.
Yep, I don't have any immediate disagreements there. Heather, did you want to chime in on that discussion today?
Yeah, actually, I liked Cruiser's a lot. I wanted to say it actually unveils a bit about Cruiser's character. Underneath his blunt exterior is a hurt little boy. But as for me,
more ways than one.
Anyways, as for me, I went back to like season 1 because I'm like, you know, I haven't thought of season 1 in a long time. I haven't even thought of Twilight Unicorn in a long time. And you know what episode I came back to was a dog and pony show in season 1 because not a lot of people talked about that episode, and when they did, they didn't enjoy it. And I'm like, you know, I liked it because, and it also brought out an underrated subspecies that we never talked about since, unless you count the comics. And also, that was very brief and not a well-received comic. You went into the kingdom of the Diamond Dogs, and Trixie was there, and it wasn't great. But it brought out the Diamond Dogs, which I really liked their design. Like, people keep saying, "Oh, Capper makes it so your persona can be canon," but you know what? The Diamond Dogs did that first. Maybe they weren't the fluffiest, but they were there,
Okay.
and it brought out a few things about Rarity.
All right, so that for you is more of an underrated episode than a misunderstood episode.
Oh, they definitely could say there was misunderstandings with the moral, if I remember correctly, but I didn't go too far back into it. I didn't get to rewatch it before this.
Oh, okay. Well, I remember that episode pretty well. That was the lesson of that episode was that you can use your hidden strengths and apply them creatively to a situation to get out of a sticky situation. Everybody thought Rarity was going to be completely helpless and completely at the mercy of the Diamond Dogs down there. But she, had him wrapped around her horn or wrapped around her hoof, however you want to put it, the whole time. Even from the beginning there, just using her own personality, or weaponizing her own personality in ways that she knew that she could. So I've never seen anybody take a major disagreement to that episode's moral. Have you seen something that I've not seen? Heather?
I'm sorry, you cut off that last part there, so I don't know if you asked something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, have you seen something that I've not seen in terms of people disagreeing with the lesson on a Dog and Pony show?
I remember when I was thinking back to that episode that people were upset with something about it, and I can't remember what, so it's not coming to me right now.
When that episode first aired, people were split on Rarity's portrayal, because it was one thing to weaponize her annoyingness, but it didn't change the fact that it was annoying to some people. So you get a lot of this, and here's my attempt at a falsetto. Woo! This harness is too tight. You get a whole episode of that, and people were just as annoyed as the Diamond Dogs, which I don't think is necessarily a disagreement with the moral itself, but more so just subjectively finding that aspect of the episode annoying. That's how I remember the audience reaction to that episode being when it first aired.
Albeit I wasn't part of the fandom in season 1. I was a part of the fandom around season 2. So I wasn't right there in the funk when it happened, but I could have sworn that it was about something about femininity came into conversation, but we don't have to go too far into that.
Just because someone is feminine doesn't mean they're not strong, is essentially what they summarized it as. And of course, I read further into it than that. So,
if you think about it, it goes to show why women can play little mind games like that. Because if Rarity had just been blunt about stuff and been like, "Hey, Diamond Dogs, let me go," it wouldn't have accomplished anything. And there was 3 Diamond Dogs against 1 pony. I don't think it would have gone well for her if she tried a direct physical confrontation. But playing mind games with them and screwing around with them was what saved the day for her.
Yeah, and she was able to physically retaliate, at least to a certain degree. My favorite one is when she would draw X's on stalagmites, and they'd start digging on the stalagmites, and then the stalactites would start collapsing on them because they were doing that.
I did not understand that.
Remember during that episode she'd draw rocks on spikes that were sticking up from the floor, that were holding up spikes that were sticking down from the ceiling, and when they did that, the spikes from the ceiling would start falling on people.
Okay.
Yeah, so okay, but we've talked about that for a long time there. So do you guys have anything you want to add to why you think your episode is the most misunderstood or underrated before we start getting into the actual debate part of it?
I just think that regardless of whether you think something is bad storytelling or not, because again, people did not believe that Garble had a sensitive and or poetic side. if it happens in real life, then for me it's kind of hard to dispute the fact that perhaps it could make for a good story. And keep in mind, Smolder, turns out she liked cute and silly stuff, so perhaps maybe everybody is hiding something from friends.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that there. So
Yeah.
my episode is probably one of the most controversial ones in the entire fandom. I'm gonna go with Mysterious Ne'er-do-well today.
Ah, yes, I actually
Okay.
like that one.
Yeah,
I
there's
did too.
there's a few people that like it, but not many people, at least in my experience, think the moral stands up, and it always comes down to nobody directly confronting Rainbow Dash, and then the rest of the main six being hypocritical for donning the Mysterious Ne'er-do-well persona, and then showing off to Rainbow Dash, and then bragging about Mysterious Ne'er-do-well subtly, I think is the word I'm looking for later on. So we're all mad at Dash for being the showboater and bragging about everything, but then we're gonna go and talk about Mysterious Ne'er-do-well like she's the greatest thing on earth, even though we know we are Mysterious Ne'er-do-well, which is definitely not without warrant. But it's misunderstood because that's not necessarily what their intentions were. At least it didn't seem that way to me. To me, it seemed like the purpose of what they were doing was to give Dash a taste of her own medicine. And as we, learn about Rainbow Dash from what I believe was season 1, but it's always been the case with Rainbow Dash, is that in order to teach her anything, you have to give her a taste of her own medicine, and you have to kick the crap out of her with it. If you don't beat it over her head as bluntly as possible, with exactly what she's been doing, it takes her a long time to get the message. And they did that at a point where she had taken her showboating so far that she wasn't going to listen to reason, and other people's livelihoods were at stake. So that's because of that. That's how people believe that Mysterious Ne'er-do-well is really misunderstood. So now that we've gotten to everybody, let's take it to the versus section now. So Cruizer, did any of us say anything that you disagreed with? Like, which of us picked a bad episode?
No, not that I can really think of, because I heard like, for example, I know Finn the Pony actually did not like Shadow's play, even though I particularly liked that episode, and Aria brought out a good reason why perhaps it could be misunderstood. I'm definitely the kind of person who is always willing to volunteer to help film anything, to help do anything at particular conventions. And sure, I got no problem doing it, but you can't honestly tell me that it wouldn't hurt if someone thanked you for your help. Which, for the record, the people I have helped, have definitely been very thankful for my volunteering.
Yep, that's good. So, what were the complaints on your episode again? That they didn't believe Garble had any sort of duality, right?
Yeah, they seem to think that because there was no hint at it, in previous episodes, is why they don't believe it. Well, why would they? I mean, there's I've been saying this for a while, and that is My Little Pony is not like Avatar: The Last Airbender, where the entire series is mapped out from beginning to end, and every nook and cranny gets explored. So if you're watching that show, you might see like a hint of it at some point, but again, that's the writing of that particular show style. But this is not, that kind of writing. So it doesn't really make any sense to me why they would hint at it. I mean, they probably didn't know if they were going to come back to this at some point. So
I don't think it's like, I'm surprised if people are actually saying that type of thing about Garble. Now, granted, some people are horrible people and they don't have sensitive sides. But I think we see it more often than not in life and in cartoons, where if somebody is just being a bully, it's because they're hiding their own, they're doing it to mask their own their own insecurities, and putting on a show for their friends or their groups, or trying to take charge and be the leader. So I don't see how that's necessarily a misunderstanding of what the episode was trying to portray. It's just that you might be listening to the opinions of people who, and I'm going to be really frank and rude here, probably don't get out all that much and have never met too many people to see this type of personality trait work itself out in real life. So did anybody have anything that was to say against the lesson of that episode, or anything else that they portrayed? Is there anything about it that they think is really unrealistic that you would want to rebuttal against? I guess is the proper word.
Like against his episode, or just something else that we saw in,
in
the episode?
Yeah, pardon my poor wording. That was directed to Cruizer, but if anybody else wants to chime in, they're free to do so. Yeah, it doesn't sound like we have anything.
I actually didn't quite understand what you said previously, though. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so it sounds... Okay, so let me see if I can summarize it a little better this time. It sounds like people aren't misunderstanding the episode so much as that they don't... they have never seen somebody like Garble in real life. But...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, people who have lived a little bit more see people like Garble all the time, is in both life and in fiction. So have you encountered anything like that that disagrees more with what the episode was trying to convey, rather than just the people having trouble disbelieving, or people having trouble believing that someone like Garble exists?
Just from my own personal life, because keep in mind, I mean, if you recall what Spike said about Garble and his little herd of friends when he first saw them, he said they were teenage dragons. So, and I do not hang around teenagers. So
I mean, we were all teenagers once.
Yeah, that's why I can only talk to you about my own personal experiences. The fact that I did like what was considered a a boy band at the time, and I'm supposed to be, this kid who likes, dark, rough things, or maybe a little gangsta. And it wasn't until, like I said, I started acting like them, did they back off. We weren't friends, but, they thought, okay, this guy's cool. So that was basically my own personal experience.
Well, that sounds more like you're relating it to yourself after having done, well, I would say put on a different social mask rather than relating to the episode itself, because the episode itself was about... or at least it was about that people have these dualities, and showing how they can be accepted even if you think they might not be, and encouraging people to come out with it. Whereas what you did and how you're somehow relating it to the episode was you altered your own outward. What's the proper way to say this? You altered the way that you were presenting yourself to be more in line with what other people were accepting.
Well, it's true, but if you remember at the end of the episode, Garble's friends really still thought, him being into poetry was stupid. The only reason why they went along with it is because Princess Ember made them.
Yeah, that is true.
That's interesting.
We tried more in our lives.
What was that, Heather?
Yeah, Heather was trying to say something.
Not on my name.
Okay. So, and then, so Aria, do you have anything to say to any of that?
To me or Heather? I couldn't hear you.
No, do you have anything to say about Cruizer's episode?
Oh, yeah. With Cruizer's episode, I can agree with most of that. Like, and I also saw one more thing, peer pressure. Like, that episode had a lot of peer pressure, which I think a lot people could misunderstand is like just a way to move the plot along. But that's something that a lot of people deal with. and some people even use it as a tool to just make people do what they wish. Like what Cruizer just said with the Princess Ember telling them this is your hero, you should be thankful. That's why they started being like, oh, I want to learn this. Oh, I want to learn this. It's not because they accept it. It's because they are told to do so, and they could think it would bring them to a higher standard.
That's interesting. Heather, do you want to add anything to it?
No, I think I stated previously that I really liked Cruiser's interpretation of the episode and his personal relation to it. I'm pretty set.
All right. Yep, that's fine. I'm always going to be mad at that episode because it had garbled dabbing.
Garbled dabbing? I don't get it.
He dabbed. You know what that is, right?
No.
All right, no, then never mind. Save your brain
you
cells.
need to meet our friend Louie.
Oh my god.
Somebody do art of Brony dabbing.
No. How about you not bring that trash into my life, Aria? I deal with enough as it is.
Okay.
All right. So, what do we think about Aria's episode? So, how is Shadowplay, and you brought up something similar to Cruiser's thing, is that people were misunderstanding this episode. How so again?
Misunderstanding Stygian and his point of view.
Okay, so what is Stygian's? I'm sorry to make you repeat it, but it's been a little bit. Remind us what Stygian's point of view is and how people are misinterpreting that.
With Stygian, a lot of people see him as just this character in the background that, like, yeah, they see that he's misunderstood, but they don't understand the depth behind it. Like with the two parts, like it felt very messy, and I also saw a little bit in the chat, like the pony of shadows was a huge disadvantage, but actually I see the pony of shadows being the inner emotions and like the anger and even depression that Stygian felt. And sometimes when you're misunderstood so much, especially when you're casted out by your peers that you feel so close to, whether it be your friends or even family, sometimes your best way to cope with it is to fall into that darkness and just let it consume you.
Some kind of vengeance in it, right?
And I feel like that's what the pony of shadows was supposed to represent, is that darkness. As Stygian put, the darkness took me in, and I listened.
So let me ask you this, Aria. Where have you been hearing that critique? Because I have never heard that critique before, at least not about this episode.
It's a critique that I noticed because it reminds me a tiny bit of myself in more darker times.
Okay, so I guess the question was more or less, who has said that?
Say that again?
I guess my question was really, who have you heard say that Stygian is a bad character because of misunderstand Stygian's character the way you were describing it, because I've never heard anybody else say that myself.
Like not a lot of people, like me saying that he's misunderstood, or
no,
I'm sorry, you're cutting out on my end. That's why. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. So Stygian, you're saying a lot of people misunderstand his character, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you've explained how his character is relatable to you, right?
Yes.
Okay. So where have you been hearing critiques that Stygian is a bad character or an unbelievable one?
A what character?
A bad character or an unbelievable one.
Oh, he's not a bad character, and I mean, I don't see him as unbelievable. No. Where have you heard people saying that about him is what I've been trying to ask. I remember listening to a review. I cannot remember the YouTuber.
Okay, so it's not been something you've heard very much of?
Yeah, I've heard it from one YouTuber, but I cannot remember the name.
Okay, and that's the point I was making, is I don't think anybody's really misunderstanding that episode other than you heard it once.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. So does anybody have anything else they want to add or say to either me in response to that or to Aria's episode here?
Yeah,
I got a question. Was it Sketchy the Changeling? Because I remember like people misliking it too, but I think the YouTuber was Sketchy the Changeling. He was talking about like the lore of it was done or
I
something.
think so.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, but I personally liked that closer. I liked it a lot better than what the hell was the one with Starlight screwing up time. Didn't like that.
Cutie Remark.
To where
Pretty Remark. Didn't like that one, but I liked this one. I liked the Pony of Shadows. It was really freaking inky and emo. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had a closer yet that I haven't liked.
As far as what I want to say, if you think of, how should I say this? I guess one way you could kind of look at Stygian is think about maybe a play or, heck, even just the cast of My Little Pony. And the voice actors are the pillars. Everybody essentially praises them, and they're the ones who, have the massive lines at conventions. But let's face facts here, it's the writers and directors and the producers that brought this all together in the first place. They're the reasons why they have those lines, and you can see Stygian is not getting the respect that he does deserve.
Yeah, there's a lot of real life comparisons, for sure. A lot of the greatest heroes, we never know about, because they're not seeking the attention, and they're not seeking the attention, and they're not in a area that's visible. I care just as much about the folks in Korea and the Philippines that are animating the show as I do about the voice actors and the directors and the musicians. I mean, when you take something like that into consideration, there's a you got to consider the canon team, and the canon team is everybody who works to fire a cannon. Every time I've seen a cannon demonstration done at like a Renaissance fair, they say, this is the guy that loads the cannon. He's the most important person. This is the guy that cleans the cannon after each firing. He is the most important person. This is the guy that lights the fuse. He is the most important person. They all got their role, and if any one of them is missing, no show. So you got that's what we're dealing with here when we deal with people like Stygian, and yes, sometimes they do get upset at not getting any of the credit, but that's not the topic of today. So what do we think about Heather's episode, A Dog and Pony Show, and how misunderstood is that really? Because that's another episode that I've never heard too many people complain about outside of the subjective Rarity was being annoying in that episode kind of thing.
Zoom tight.
Thank you.
What do we all think about that? Or at least that's my take. Does anybody have anything to say on it?
Definitely underrated.
I would say that it does kind of show that, I guess, for lack of a better word, how manipulative Rarity can be. Like, she's actually much more methodical when it comes to planning an attack.
Yeah.
She's not like, say, any particular guy warrior who'll just kind of run head first into battle. She will actually try to set people up like a chess game.
Oh no, yeah, she's a seductress too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, that's what I respect so much about her.
and
she doesn't use those powers for evil. You can say that.
Yeah, and she did that all the time too. And she's always done that a lot. I don't even think there's been a time where she hasn't done that. She's just a couple episodes later, she just walks up to two random guys and goes, "Hey, can you freaking pull our chariot to Canterlot for us? Because our mouse horses ran away." And people just went and did that, and all she had to do was bat eyelashes. So yeah, that's definitely Rarity for you.
In that situation, you could say them like, well, they were just kind of suckers. She didn't even do anything for them. She just gave a request and batted those eyelashes, and they were like, yeah.
Yep.
If you're gonna fall into that trap, maybe you deserve it.
Yeah. At some point, you gotta take responsibility here.
Or it's Spike as well. How many times was Spike a gosh darn pincushion for her?
But he did say he had thick scales, so he could take it.
Right, but
Still.
that's not the point. That I would. There's a lot of things that I don't feel, too, that I would still not let people do to me.
Okay, but keep in mind, you're talking to a diabetic here. I stick myself with needles all the time.
I was just thinking about that the other day. Like, Justin's probably, like, the most metal intolerance, but second to Brony because of that crap.
Yeah, no, I'm gangster up until my scoliosis starts acting up, and then I turn into an 85-year-old man.
You're always an 85-year-old man.
Oof.
You know what? I don't need your crap today, Heather.
Oh. Let's see if you have that tone.
I'm joking. All right, so I think we've gotten through everybody, so now we just need you all to give me your hate, because I feed off of it. What do you all think about my points on Mysterious Ne'er-do-well?
I honestly like the episode. I do, and I kind of like how it dang it, hold on, what was it? Oh, put Rainbow in her place. Like, while you were explaining and debating a little bit, it reminded me of the newer episode 21 Pranks Later.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, and that's just another example of that. People were calling that Mysterious Ne'er-do-well 2.0 when it first aired, and I'm like, no, there's a little bit of a difference, and I can't remember, and I do remember that I had to look for it, and it took a little bit of thinking to really put it into words, how it was not just the same thing over again, but the solution was relatively similar. They had to give her a taste of her own medicine in order to show her, in order to get her to stop doing it.
Yeah, because if you really, like, I guess to give some kind of an analogy here, if you've ever seen professional wrestling, you know there's, your good guy and your bad guy, and the bad guys definitely tend to be very cocky. It isn't until they get beaten, especially at their own game, do they realize, okay, maybe I'm not hot stuff after all.
Yep, there's always an inverse proportion of ego to skill. At least, almost always. So nobody has any rebuttals for that kind of thing. For what I said. That is really weird. I expected to get skewered. I bet if I went and shouted went to BronyCon a couple of weeks ago and shouted in a crowded room, Mysterious Ne'er-do-well is the best episode, I probably would have gotten lynched. How the heck did I pick the only 3 bronies in the fandom that don't mind my opinion on that episode?
Honestly, I think maybe it's just because so much time has gone by.
You might be right.
It's Rainbow Dash shutting down porn, so I'm thumbs up on it on a conceptual level.
I mean, we've seen a lot of episodes where she has to relearn and all of that, like showing it 10/4 instead of through word. I mean, you have Mysterious Ne'er-do-well, you have the Wonderbolts Academy one, where both of them, Newbie Dash and when she's testing for the Wonderbolts test, I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, testing 1 2 3.
Yeah, that one, and then 21 Pranks Later, and then I think there was another episode that she had to be taught again. I can't remember though.
Probably 21 Pranks Later.
No, I already said that one.
Indeed. Cart Before the Ponies.
Yeah, that one.
To be fair though, nobody was, like everybody went back to preschool for that episode.
Yeah.
And I'll even still give Cart Before the Ponies this again, that does happen with actual people. They tend to kind of live through their children and want to achieve their accomplishments as their own.
I thought that episode was great because it showed the 3 major ways that people do that. You got the traditionalist that doesn't even know why they do things the way they do. You got the failed athlete, and you've got the rarity with some other trope, and I can't remember it off the top of my head because I'm really bad at my job. But all right, it sounds like we're pretty clear and in agreement here, which is not what I expected to experience today. So good job throwing me through a loop, everybody.
Yay!
Yep, and so we gotta, unless anybody else has something they want to say or add, I think we can move into the audience interaction portion here, where we start reading off comments, questions, that
All right.
we've been getting throughout the stream. Yeah, Cruiser, what's up?
I thought you wanted to say. I thought you were about to say if anybody had something else they wanted to add before they went on to questions.
Well, yeah, okay. So if you've got something to add, go for it. We got a few minutes yet.
Okay, well, that was my nominee for most misunderstood episode. For my most underrated, I'd have to give it to Flutterbrunner.
Okay, that's interesting. Why is that?
Okay, because now I get it. Everybody hates Zephyr Breeze. Now, one thing, we kind of were supposed to not like the guy. But the other thing that I just thought that made it a bit interesting was his reason for being, I guess you could say. Because it's not that the guy was necessarily a slacker. He was just afraid of failure. That's quite different.
He was a slacker because he was afraid of failure. They're not mutually exclusive.
Still, though, I mean, he showed that he could apply himself, but he was afraid of failing at it.
Yeah, well, yeah, he just had to actually fail and get kicked out and live in the woods for a little bit. We've all been there.
Yeah, at my dad's house.
That's not what I meant by the woods, you goofball. Alrighty.
Evan and you, Evan telling you to shut up as you're playing the kitty keyboard.
Yep.
Which is now in Heather's possession.
Oh my gosh.
It's actually not because I couldn't fit it in my suitcase. This one has to mail it to me so I can start making some sweet kitty jams.
Yeah.
Jams.
Alright, so...
Careful, that thing does purr.
I know.
Yeah, if you let it idle... Oh my god, how many times did that happen while we were filming Cruiser? We let that thing idle, and it would ruin a take because it would start purring in the middle of a take. Because it would it's like, okay, I'm going into power saving mode now.
You should have filmed it and Brony looking over like, why does this keep happening?
Oh, we got it a couple of times on film. Like I said, it kept ruining takes. So, no, for a little backstory.
Where's the blooper reel?
I haven't made one. I could. I still have all the footage.
You should.
I probably should. So, let me tell you guys what happened here. The cat keyboard that was used to beat me over the head, or that I kept using in Legend of Everfree, a buck to the face Legend of Everfree. That was in Cruiser's possession for a long time, and then Heather saw that video and said, I want that keyboard, and I said, okay, I will give you that keyboard. So when we came to BronyCon, Cruiser brought the keyboard up to me, and I brought it up to Maryland to give it to Heather. I had to do some minor repairs on it because it got kind of broken when it got smashed over my head repeatedly, and then Heather couldn't fit it in her suitcase because she was flying back, so I had to take it back with me, and now I got to mail it out to her. So we got a whole lot of that going on. Now that we've gotten through all that, comments and questions, what do we got for us, Heather?
Seriously, they keep having meaningful conversations. They won't ask questions.
Alrighty then. So, does anybody in the chat have any questions for anybody on the panel here?
I think there was a demand. Make a blooper reel, Brony, please.
Okay, I'll go look through the footage again and see what's funny.
But yeah, no direct questions.
Not at the moment, anyway. Keep in mind, the stream is, I think, like 20 seconds behind us, so it'll take a little bit for them to even know that I've asked them to...
I'm watching it, though.
Yep.
Watch it.
In the meantime... what else did... So, how about this? Aria, I'd like a funny BronyCon story if you have one, while we're waiting for some questions.
Wait, what?
Do you have any funny BronyCon stories while we're waiting for audience questions?
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah, give us your favorite BronyCon story.
Okay, well... Dang, I wish Fluff Dragon was here, because this would be great. Okay, so...
Well, if they're not here, it's because you didn't share the stream.
Shut up! I'll share it now! Wait a minute, if you were in my server, you could share it. No, wait a minute, Cruiser, you could have shared it.
You have all let me down today, alright? So the point is, Aria, what's this story?
Okay, so it was the day after BronyCon, and it was Dulka and myself waiting in our hotel room, and Pick, Gilded, and Fluff Dragon were going to come over to the hotel room to play Prance. So Fluff comes in, and she's holding her suitcase. And if you guys want to see a video to it, she recorded all of this. It's absolutely hilarious. So look at her vlog after the stream's done. So Fluff comes in with her suitcase. She goes, I will give a free commission to whoever can open up the, you know, on the top, it's got like the bar that you can pull the suitcase. Apparently it got jammed in the suitcase really, really bad. She's like, whoever can get this open, I will give a free commission. So she gives it to us. I'm like, okay. I go, free commission, let's go. So I'm pulling at it, and this is like freaking Excalibur. You're pulling at it, and I'm like, man, why isn't this not opening? Pick walks in, and she goes, what's going on? I said, free commission if you can open this. She's like, oh boy. So 2 of us are trying to open it. Dolka comes through, and I said, okay, Dolka, try using intelligence to figure out why this is jammed and stuck. So he's trying to figure it out. And in my head, I go, how many bronies does it take to open up a suitcase? So you got all 3 of us, my leg on top of the suitcase. So as we go, this went on for 5 minutes. So Fluff automatically goes, can I record this? And I said, yeah. We're all like, yeah, this will be great. So she starts recording. Literally, she started recording about 5 minutes in. So Pig's like, okay, time to go deep in. She puts her arm all the way down the hole where the thing is, and she's got a small arm, so she's pushing it in. She goes, I barely fit, but this works. It's tight, but it'll work. So she's feeling around. Dolka is looking in the corner to figure out what else can we do? And here's me, like, figuring out, waiting, holding my camera light to there so she could see. So she goes, okay, I feel something. Aria, try pulling up. So I go to pull up, and I'm like, okay. I said, Dolka, come here. Hold the other end, and I'll put my leg on the suitcase. So you got me. My leg is on top of the suitcase next to Pick's arm. Pick is on her knees with her arm all the way up to her shoulder. And then you got Dolka holding down with his hands on top and Fluff recording all of this. So all of a sudden, we hear pop, and we're like, oh, did we get it? Everybody lets go. Pick still got her arm inside. I pull up, and we think it came out. We all gasp. But the whole arm pulls out of the suitcase.
Honestly, what did you expect to happen? I was going to be so...
I thought it clicked off! So we heard pop, and it came out, and the whole arm just comes out. No, and I mean, the thing that sticks to the suitcase, the entire thing came out. The whole mechanic of it.
I'd be more surprised if that didn't happen.
Yeah, we were like, oh my god! And I just fall to the floor. I'm just dying of laughter on my back.
All right.
I sound like a maniac in there. Dolka takes it, and he pulls both the ends, and he pulls hard, and he gets it open. And Pick and I are just dying on the floor. Fluff is dying behind the camera. And I go, I'm so sorry, Fluff. She goes, no, it was already needed to get replaced anyways. So she goes, maybe some duct tape will help. So we managed to put it back in. And we secured it, actually. No duct tape or anything. And we kept it open, the arm. So it was able to be pulled around. But I was like, oh my god.
All right.
And we just died. And Gilded walks in right after this happens, and she goes, what just happened? And they're like, it's gonna be in the vlog.
Okay, well, I can't wait to see that when it's done. Heather, do we have any questions we can work with yet?
Oh yes, Galactic Equestria 21 says, can I make fan art of all you? I told him the answer is probably always yes, but I'll ask again anyway.
Yeah, I don't know why you would ask for permission to make fan art. Kind of just do what you want. We can't, even if we were against it, we can't stop you.
And Lenara S asks, how will you guys prepare for the last episode of MLP FIM?
My Twitter is going straight to politics.
Oh no! No politics.
Fine.
That's when the divorce happens.
I'll disappear like I got snapped by Thanos.
Don't you say his name like that again.
Thanos.
Honestly, I'll probably just gonna because Bryan and everyone else lives 3 hours from me. I live on the east coast of the state. Everyone else lives in central. Just curl up and watch it. I really don't have any grand plans for it. It'll be sad to see these characters go, but one, they will live on in the comics. The comic series is not stopping, so you got more ponies here. And two, they had an amazing run. They will be able to, everybody who worked on MLP FIM will be able to walk out there with their heads held high.
And a lot of them did say that, if cons and all that continue, they'll continue to support and keep it alive.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what they'll do for G5.
I am too, actually.
Yep, so am I. Heather, what do you think?
Future episode of Brony Debates. What do we expect from MLP G5?
Oh boy.
I'm hoping that for the last episode I watch it with a couple of people, and then after that I'm gonna go back to watching anime and other cartoons. There ain't no brakes on the nerd train.
Yep.
That's why you're dating Brony.
That's what. This
guy is such a freaking snob when it comes to the stuff he watches. He doesn't like anime. He doesn't like most cartoons in general. Sometimes I wonder what he even does all day. Because it's like he doesn't like anything.
He watches
contemplating
hentai.
Life.
No, that's you, Cruiser. And listen, I've seen your history. Don't you throw that on me, you freaking hypocrite.
Secretly planning shipping.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
I got another question for us, if you guys are...
Sure.
Nelson Demifurer asked... however, are there any misunderstood episodes of Season 9 so far?
You know something? I'm a terrible brony that has not been able to keep up with what the reviewers have been saying about Season 9 thus far. So I'm going to yield that question to everybody else.
I stand by with what I said with Sweet and Smoky. That's Season 9. Well, Season 9 or Season 8?
Sweet and Smoky is Season 9.
Season 9. It's 3 or 4 episodes ago.
Yeah, so I'm sticking with my with what I said.
Your favorite episode of Season 9?
No, misunderstood episodes of Season 9.
Oh, misunderstood of Season 9? Ooh, that's a good question. I need to pull up the list.
Alright, so while you're doing that, Heather, do you have any thoughts on that?
I didn't hear it.
Your
question?
Yes.
The question? I can't think of anything that comes to mind that anyone would misinterpret.
Alright. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Black Taylor Lakari guys asked, any comments on the episode The Royal Problem and the episode Between Dawn and Dusk?
Oh, that's such a good episode.
Yeah, well, they're both really good episodes. I think that with A Royal Problem, they're still kind of clearing the air of sibling rivalries that never got quite resolved ever since the Nightmare Moon incident thing. I would imagine, especially when compared to the backdrop of 1,000 years, it would be a fresh wound that people wouldn't that sisters might not want to talk about. But now we're getting to a point where we kind of need to talk about it, and that's why things like A Royal Problem and Between Dusk and Dawn are still happening. Because they never got fully solved. She just kind of became Nightmare Moon and disappeared for 1,000 years, and now she's back and dealing with the same problems all over again. So I think it's really cool. It sucks that it took this long to get the 7 seasons and then another additional 2 seasons to get these episodes, but it is really cool.
Those episodes to me are absolutely fine. I love them. I have rewatched them many times. It's great seeing them act like sisters for a change. It may have taken way too long, but hey, better late than never.
Yeah, I mean, I really like those episodes because we don't have enough of Luna Celestia duo episodes. I think those are the only 2 we have.
We get a lot of them working together and or getting their butts kicked, but we don't really have any. Yeah, those are the first time that they've been centered on an episode instead of like an episode where they're helping the Cutie Mark Crusaders. Well, Luna helping the Cutie Mark Crusaders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, the one thing I really like when it comes to Between Dusk and Dawn is the fact that we're actually kind of dealing with two different types of people who go on vacation because, this is Florida, okay? This is a vacation destination here. And I've even kind of, had this with my own family where, if I am traveling to Orlando, Tampa, Miami, then I want to do something that you can only do in those cities. But the rest of my family was like, I just want to relax. I'm like, you can do that at home.
Yeah, that's what I had when I was at Maryland. Dolka and I have never been to Maryland, so I was like, I need to try stuff. So we went to like different places, and I even dropped like $55 on crab legs. I did. I was like, I regret nothing. And it was as big as my head. I'm like, yeah, this is great.
Alrighty
then. I mean, like even in Luna's case, where she actually has to do Battle with Dreams, I get it. You want to take it easy, but again, you can do that at your own castle. Do something you can only do, at these locations.
I don't know. I kind of like going on a vacation so I can be away from all the stressful stuff and get it off my mind.
But you're still hanging out with me, though.
I could not understand you, so sure.
I said, but you're still hanging out with me, though, is what I said.
Oh, yeah. The cause of the tumor that's forming.
The tumor of love.
Well, love is a tumor. In your chest.
Alright. I hate that allegory, but okay.
Yes.
I know, that was bad.
Alright, so I think that's all we've got. Is that all we've got, Heather?
Well, we have like almost a minute and a half of time left, but the only questions we've got after that have been about Season 9 and episodes you have not watched yet. And also about Gen 5, which we also don't know anything about. And if we did, Brony would not have looked at it because he's such an anti-spoiler guy. So I don't think we can do those questions. I'm waiting.
Well, I have a way we could do Gen 5, but it's not spoilerly. What would you want to see in Gen 5? Like something big.
Actually, yeah, I have thought about that, and
there you go.
I've even sent told this idea to Silver and some other people. Is that I actually would like to see the best elements of all the previous generations for G5. Like for G1, the fact that human beings could actually visit this magical land. Okay, from G2. Sorry, were you about to say something?
We have 20 seconds.
Okay, go.
Don't worry about it too much.
Alright, G2, the fact that you have male and female main characters. G3, nothing. G4, everything else.
Aria?
For me, for some reason, I imagine, like I know it's not going to connect to the G4, but what I would like to see is, like, maybe the future people, like, not children, you could say children of those of Gen 5 and that Gen 4.
So either a next generation or descendants or something in the future but in the same setting. Is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I just want to see quality. I want to see good voice acting, and I want to see good animation, and I want to see good stories. That was why and morals, of course. I want to see good lessons being taught to whoever is watching it. Generation 4 was just really good overall, and if Generation 5 is going to have me watching it, it's going to have all of that as well. Heather, what do you think?
I think that we're 2 minutes over, and that's really screwing with my OCD right now. But Gen 5, yeah, basically all the same. I want good stuff, and like things that we didn't have. I feel like we didn't have time for in this series. We should make time for in the next one. Like, we're gonna get edgier episodes, and we're gonna get more Diamond Dogs.
I'd like more continuity too. More continuity would be good.
And maybe it gearing towards more of not like the older audience. I kind of see that. Like, I kind of want it to go to the older audience, those who have been around, but they can also share it with the younger generation, kind of like what Gen 4 does.
When you have something
that.
that's actually good, it's going to resonate with people of all ages. You don't need to worry about that.
Okay.
Yep. All right, I think we're going to cut it there then, unless we want to mess with Heather's OCD a little bit more by singing the song that never ends, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3.
Okay.
Nope, I'm joking. God, you can't mention singing it all around Aria. She'll do it. All right, it was great having everybody come and visit and listen to the stream for however long you did. Loved all your questions, good conversations with you guys on the stream. So if you guys want to be a part of these streams, I would love to have you on. You just need to join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Shout outs to my $10 and up tier, these being Autoknight, Sodden Girder, Senko, Jennan Kellogg, Kyle Christensen, DJ Skywalker, Mike's Geek World, and the Equestrian City Heroverse series of FiMfictions. Be sure to check all those links out in the description. You can catch me this Saturday on Heather Blossom's Chaos and Crocheting stream, and you can catch me again next Wednesday, or not next Wednesday, next Friday for Friday Night Fights. And yeah, I think we are all set. Thank you again for tuning in, and thank you, Heather, Aria, Cruizer, for joining me. I will catch you all later.
Take care, everyone. Good night.
See ya.
Yeah.